Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Tina. While I'm recording this, we are currently having a little snowstorm outside. I mean, it's like, I don't know, 3 inches of snow, but I'm excited. I feel like we haven't had snow in Chicago in a while, but I'm starting this reading vlog off a little bit early. It's currently January 10th when I'm filming this, and you'll see this in about 2 weeks, but wanted to set that up because we are going on vacation. Very excited. We're going to be in Orlando for a week. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to pre-film some things so that I can get my content out there and stay on track with my 2 videos per week. But as I was setting up my TBR for the week, I was trying to decide what it is I wanted to read. And this is for the podcast, Are Easily Distracted by New Releases episode. One of my favorite things that we do. I love new releases, and it's just an excuse to prioritize some books that are really buzzy. But I was trying to decide which ones to pick, and I had picked up this book. It's The Note by Alafair Burke, and this is an arc. And something you get that I love when you get arcs, you get the editor's note. And so what I decided to do was to pick the books that I want to read for this week based on their editor's note. I'll go through the vlog, sort of give you my reading updates, and then I will check back in at the end of the video to let you know if I think the editor's notes hold true. Let's read. All right, so the first book that I'm going to read for the week is The Note by Alafair Burke, and this is a book about 3 women who have been lifelong friends who decide to go on a trip to the Hamptons for a weekend, and their girls' trip goes totally wrong when a prank goes badly, I guess. So I'm very curious to see what the prank is. This one says that she, according to fellow author Laura Lippman, is the queen of the killer twist. We're in for a treat. This is a twisty, multi-layered thriller about 3 longtime friends who, despite their best intentions, don't always bring out the best in one another. Over the course of a long hot summer weekend in the Hamptons, their shared history catches up with them to reveal the dangerous secrets that lie beneath the surface of their friendship. So we will see after we read this if that editor's note holds up. It sounds like if it does, it's going to be right up my alley. Good morning. It's another day, and I started a new book late last night. I've never read this author before, for no real reason. She's kind of in that mystery thriller space, like a Lisa Jewell type author. But I grabbed this one. She's a lawyer too, and I love books that have lawyer authors, that have lawyer characters. And so the main character in this one is May. She is this perfect biracial main character who sort of is the rule follower in the group. And her 2 friends, one of them is this larger than life personality who is rich beyond belief. Her family is, and she works in real estate. And the other one, I have to say, is not really giving me much of an impression right now. I don't even know what she does or really what her deal is, other than she's their second friend. But they're in the Hamptons for a girls' weekend, and they decide to go out to dinner. They get really drunk, whatever. I'm 20% in, and it's okay. The dialogue's a little cheesy. It's a little giggly, for lack of a better word. I don't know if I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just like, all right, let's get into the meat of the story. I want to see where this is going. And so far, they're waking up for the next day. And these bitches are definitely lying to May. Something happened last night, but she was really drunk and doesn't remember. So I'm very curious to see what this is. It's a popcorn thriller. I'm going to fly right through it. I think it's 9 hours or so on audio. The narration's great. No complaints there. Will this be one that sticks out? Unclear, but that's okay sometimes, right? Anyway, I'll check back in. All right, well, I finished The Note. I primarily did it on the audio, so thanks to PRH Audio for my audio copy. This was fine. I would not say that this is a barn burner. It's not going to be on my best of 2025 mystery and thriller list. Was it entertaining enough? Sure. It is. It's one of those books where you're going to be questioning the characters the entire time. Like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? I guessed the ending. I sort of guessed the big mystery that's at the center of this. It was all right. I don't know. I wanted to like this so much more than I did. May was an interesting main character. I like that she sort of is throughout chasing her agency. I hated her boyfriend in this. I thought he was terrible and the worst, but they all kind of were the worst, to be honest with you. I did like some of the social issues that this touched on. Claps, extra points for that. But honestly, I never really came to be able to differentiate the 2 friends. They sort of melded into one for me. And It's a book. It was fine. I don't know. 3 stars, 3.5 stars. I don't have much else to say. On to the next. All right, so how did the editor's note do for the note? She called Alifair Burke the queen of the killer twist. And unfortunately for this book, I don't think there were any twists that were particularly surprising. Maybe a good reveal or two, but I saw everything coming. It was more like domestic suspense than a true psychological thriller to me. She also said that this is a book about friends who do not bring out the best in one another. That I do see. That part was interesting. It was one of those things where I'm like, why are y'all still friends? Like, I would have defriended these people a long time ago, but I see where they were coming from with that sentence. Long buried secrets finally catching up with them. Sure, that I see. But yeah, overall, not my fave. All right, the next book that I'm going to read for this week is Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. And this is an author I think I've only read one time, if I've read her at all. I'm actually not quite sure if I've ever read her, but she's definitely on my radar. I'm certainly in a mystery and thriller mood. I'm looking at her. No, I've never actually read her books. She has The Winter Sister, The Family Plot, Thicker Than Water. So there are some that I've heard of, but I've never read her personally. So this vlog will have 2 new thriller authors for me. This book, I love the premise of it. It's about a heart transplant recipient who becomes obsessed with her donor's husband, widower. Anyway, it sounds creepy and really good. It also sounds like we're going to get a main character that's a little bit unhinged, which is always something that I enjoy. All right, so here's what the editor's note has to say. This publisher has been with her since The Winter Sister in 2019. She said that when she heard the tagline for this new book, she got chills. And those chills continued when she met Rosie, the main character, both in her messages and in her own head. So it sounds like it's sort of a multimedia book. I love this sentence. Megan makes every word in this novel count, walking a razor-thin line between a woman unhinged and a woman to root for, which, I mean, that sounds like me at the best of me. Cross My Heart is a standout, breakout thriller, the kind that will keep you up late, desperate to unravel its secrets after several gasp-worthy twists. There's an irresistible premise, sharp tightrope walking prose, propulsive pacing, and romantic obsession. This is a twisted story of You Got Mail, the story of a woman who thinks she's in a rom-com only to find out that she's in a thriller. Excuse me. Okay, Caitlin Olsen of Atria Books, that sounds incredible, and this one will be 5 stars if it can hold up to that premise, so fingers crossed. All right, I'm starting Cross My Heart, and this book is fun. It is such a good ride. It's a popcorn thriller, but it's one of those books where it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's about this woman who received a heart transplant, and she falls in love with her donor's husband. I love Ruby already. She is somebody to root for. She is not totally believable, but she's also very relatable. She works in this wedding shop and all she wants is to be married. And yet it's very hard for her because she went through a very, very bad breakup, you're finding out. And she has a good friend that seems to watch out for her very well, but also seems to be very overprotective. So I'm curious to see where this friendship is going to go. Who the donor is interesting, and how she finds out is interesting. There's definitely a FERPA violation or HIPAA violation at play there, but whatever, you just have to go with it. I'm curious to see if that'll come out later. Another thing I'm loving is that she's contacting the donor's husband through email, basically, because you get to find out who the donor is, and it's all anonymous. So I'm very interested. I love that we're getting to read their emails. Obviously, they're going to meet up at some point, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Very entertaining. Much more so than my last book, unfortunately, I have to say. But I'm loving this. Can't wait to see where it's going to go. Also, I'm doing the audio. Very good on audio. So if you like that medium, give this one a shot. Well, I've finished Cross My Heart, and I finished this book in the course of a weekend. So I absolutely flew through it. I really, really enjoyed it. This is a textbook popcorn thriller. So if you don't like popcorn thrillers, you might not like this one because some of the plot points were a little bit far-fetched, but I really enjoyed it. And it really had me guessing. There were some twists in here, and I did not expect to see what I saw. Rosie is an interesting character because on the one hand, I want to shake her and say, girl, it's not that serious. Like, get over this guy. What's going on? But then on the other hand, the book does a really good job uncovering why it is she's so obsessed with marriage and sort of what happened in her past to get her to where she is now. She is a bit of an unhinged, unreliable narrator, but not in a way that doesn't make sense. She also has good character arc. I'm going to rate this one 4.5 stars. So let's see if it holds up to the editor's note that they put in the beginning of the book. This was Caitlin Olson, who's the executive editor at Atria. In this letter, she says that the author makes every word count, walking a razor-thin line between a woman unhinged and a woman to root for. Absolutely, I think she nailed it. That's exactly what I felt about Rosie, because on the one hand, I'm like, ma'am, hello? Like, do you want to be doing that? But then on the other hand, I'm like, but yeah, it's entertaining and I'm rooting for you. I want you to find love. I want you to like be happy with yourself. I totally agree with that. It's a standout breakout thriller, the kind that will keep you up late, desperate to unravel its secrets after several gasp-worthy twists. I agree with that. They got me. They did. They got me, and I did want to keep reading this one. It is an irresistible premise. I love that idea. I wonder how she came up with it. Propulsive pacing, I agree with, and she examines romantic obsession and what it means for women to be too much. That's incredible. That's exactly what this book is about, and I love what this book had to say about women being accused of being too much and like what that feels like to be told you're too much, tone it down a little bit. This is a twisted You've Got Mail and a story of a woman who thinks she's in a rom-com only to find out it's a thriller. I agree with that. This editor's note really did a good job in selling me. I'm actually sad that it's over, and now I'm putting Megan Collins on my auto-read author list. Now, when I put somebody on my auto-read author list, I don't necessarily go back and read their backlist because I'm just weird like that. I sort of find them, and then everything moving forward, I'm like, all right, that is where I'm going to read them from. That's a really, really good one. All right, the last book I'm going to read for this vlog is The 3 Lives of Kate K by Kate Fagan. This one sounds so wonderful. The comps are The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo meets First Lie Wins. Both of them I loved. I told you I'm in a mystery thriller like obsession right now, and I'm just going to keep riding with it. So this one is from Laura Brown at Atria Books. One of the greatest joys of being a book editor is realizing from the very first pages that you're discovering an exciting new voice. So this one is a debut. She had that feeling while reading this book. It's a tidal wave. The undercurrent sweeps you away without you realizing it until you're far out to sea and trusting the story to bring you back to shore. She's calling this a stunning page turner with each plot twist masterfully falling like a set of dominoes. It's a satisfying read that explores the price of ambition, the longings of sapphic love that, and the power that comes from being true to yourself. Oh, this is sweet. When she first met the author, she told me that her secret desire in life was to become a novelist, and what's really cool is I know this one got picked for Reese's book club for the month, so congrats to Kate Fagan. How exciting, but I can't wait to read it and see what the buzz is about. I've heard good things. This one just came out, though, in January 7th, so... Good morning. So I am 30% into The 3 Lives of Kate K. I'm doing the audio, and it is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. It's about this writer named Kate who decides to finally write her memoir, and it's sort of this oral history. So the entire book is her bringing people from her past to help tell her story. And she's this notorious author who is very, very famous, but no one knows what her actual identity is. And what I like about this is this book does a really good job setting it up. So you know sort of from the very beginning, from like the first 20%, why it is that she has this secret identity. And it's a very valid reason. I was pretty shocked when I figured out what happened, but I'm enjoying it immensely. So far, it's really good. I'm going to fly right through this. It is giving me the vibes of 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I totally see why they made that comp, and I am enjoying it. So we'll see how it goes. By the way, yes, we still have our tree up, but when I'm recording this, it's only January 13th, and I feel like that's fair. You have until the end of January for me to get rid of all of the Christmas decorations, so we're still within range. Realize I left for vacation without reporting about Kate K. So I'm going to do that here. And as you can see, we are not in Chicago because we don't have palm trees in Chicago. We are definitely in Florida, but it's cold. It's like 50 degrees right now. I mean, that's not terrible. Obviously, it's much better than where I'm from, but it's still kind of chilly. All right, this background will suffice. Hopefully you can hear me and it's not terribly windy. But let's talk about Kate K. I enjoyed this book. It's different than what I expected. I sort of see the comps for Evelyn Hugo. I also think that was a marketing ploy, which I'm not mad at because it wasn't so far off, but I can see the author's inspiration. I liked the way it was told. So it's her memoir, but she also incorporates a lot of people that were around during the time. So her best friend and her manager and all of these other people. So you really come to understand who Kate is as a person. And you also get to hear her, they're telling their side of the story, and then she'll like pop in with some footnotes to explain what she was thinking at the time. My problem is I don't really think I liked Kate as a character. Like, she was not somebody that I was particularly rooting for. For me, the miscommunication bugged me, right? I just felt like there were so many things that could have been done differently had there been better communication. Now, with that said, there were some shocks in this one, and I was so moved by some of the plot points. I wanted to discuss them that I actually set up a read along in the story graph, which I talked about in my last video that I wanted to start doing. So everyone can join if you want, if you're reading KK and want to chime in. I set it up. There are 10 benchmarks that are by percentage or by page number. So if you go into StoryGraph, I'll actually link it here in the notes, but these are points at which I think you'll want to talk to somebody. And I just have questions of what you thought of this plot point, or why do you think this character did that? So there's bonus points for this book being discussion worthy. I can see why it's a Reese's book club pick. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. I'm going to give it about 4 stars. This was great for a debut. I will definitely read this author again. I can see why Reese chose this as her book club pick. It's actually one of my favorite Reese book club picks that I have read by her. Although we know Reese is not my number one source, this one was good. I can see a lot of people enjoying it. It's going to get a lot of buzz this year. I definitely think it's a worthy addition to your TBR. It's also very readable. If you are somebody that reads not a ton of books a year, I definitely think this one will get you through. If you're in a book slump, I can see you getting through this one very well. I think maybe it would appeal to readers that are in their 20s and are still figuring things out. Because for me, I'm like, this is easy. Just communicate. Just like Google things. But I understand why the story wouldn't work if she did that. So overall, 4 or 5 stars. Glad I read it. And let's jump in and see if I think the author's note is accurate. I think the author's note for Kate K did a lot better. It did comp it to Evelyn Hugo meets First Lie Wins. Evelyn Hugo, yes. First Lie Wins, I don't think was very accurate, other than there were aliases at play. I think it made people think this was a thriller. This is definitely not a thriller. It is more like book club fiction, women's fiction type than a mystery at all. But, of course, there were some reveals, but it's definitely not a mystery and thriller. The editor said we're discovering an exciting new voice. I agree with that. I will definitely read this author again. I enjoyed her debut a lot, and it didn't read like a debut, which is always a compliment. She called this a tidal wave, where the author, takes you out, but you trust her to bring you back to shore. I sort of see that because there were times a lot when I was reading this book, I was thinking, where are we going with this? Which isn't necessarily a compliment. I really couldn't figure out what this was trying to say, but I think we got there in the end. They also called this a masterful page turner with surprising plot twists. I don't think that was true, other than one. There's a good reveal at the beginning. I don't think there were plot twists throughout. Again, not any that I didn't see coming. It was pretty obvious what was going on. Finally, it said it's a book about the powers of being true to yourself. Sure. Overall, I don't think these notes were wrong necessarily, but I do think, of course, they're marketing tools. For Kate K, I would have actually liked a longer ending. I would have liked it a little more drawn out even, but overall, still a decent read. That's it for me today. I've been really on my psychological thriller, popcorn thriller kick. I imagine I will get sick of them soon, but it's been really fun to sort of let go and just indulge. I feel like I've been eating a lot of literary fast food though, and so now I'm going to need to read some vegetables, but I do love vegetables as well. So anyway, I will see you in my next vlog. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time, bye.